One thing that stuck with me the most was Taylor's speech 15 minutes before the final show. There was a part in there that really kind of hit home for me. Have so much respect and love for that camp, for understanding and still treating them all like the true professionals they are. I don't know how. So Mom and I watched the doc last night, both episodes. And then after we watched the doc, we actually watched only the last part of the final show. So we watched Kevin's Bejeweled solo, and then Mastermind, and then Karma, and then the last hugs. And man, that last hug of Kevin's, ooh, that took me out. However, everybody's been sort of tagging, and, you know, thank you for all the reposts and the tags and the DMs and everything. The inhaler thing, obviously quite funny. One thing that stuck with me the most was Taylor's speech 15 minutes before the final show. There was a part in there that really kind of hit home for me. And it's funny because to this day, I have 2 professional dancers that I raised with my wife. And even to this day, during a conversation with people, they will say, oh, what do your kids do? And I'll say, oh, my kids live in LA. They're professional dancers. And we put that word professional in front several years ago because just telling people that my boys were dancers somehow had a negative connotation to it. And they either thought they were strippers or, you know, what's a dancer? Like, that's a hobby. That's a pastime. That's not a career. And Taylor really hit home to me when she said, you know, when you were a child and you decided that this was what you wanted to do. And I don't think there's a dancer in the group, I don't think there's a musician in the band or any of the BGVs that have not had this happen to them, where they say what their career is and people look at it almost with distaste. And I mean, okay, so here's a perfect example. Mom and I are out for dinner Thursday night in a restaurant, local. My wife sees a fellow parent from the school that the boys went to. This lady was on parent council with my wife, and they hadn't seen each other in years. And, you know, she's like, hey, how are you? And, you know, my wife says, what's your son up to? And she was, oh, blah, 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 blah. And, oh, are the boys still doing their dancey dance thing? And, you know, we were like, yeah, Michael and Kevin both moved to LA and they're professional dancers. They're dancing. The look was still, ew, why would you let your child dance? Like, what kind of a career is that? Why would you let them move to the US and move to LA and be dancers? Until we said Michael's with Mariah Carey, Kevin, you know, danced with Taylor Swift. And then all of a sudden it was like, it was acceptable. And this is going to sound horrible, but this is something that my wife and I have put up with for years. Parents, grandparents, right? Nieces, nephews, uncles. Like, I'm telling you, the only thing that kind of justified it to everyone else was when the big names started dropping. But up until the big names started to drop, it was always are you sure? Are you sure you want to let your kids move to LA? Are you like, and Mom and I were like, absolutely. We're going to let them try this. And even if it doesn't work, at least we tried it. But man, look what happened. We let it happen. We made it happen. They made it happen. And I'm telling you, that speech, like, literally spoke to me as a dance parent. And I know the dancers and the band and the BGVs have all gone through this, and it's so frustrating when somebody tells you, when you ask what somebody does and they say, oh, I'm an accountant, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a doctor. Nobody ever goes, oh, did you ever do any doctor stuff on any famous people? It doesn't need the justification, but somehow the dance world and the artist world in general somehow needs to have that validation to make it a real career. Super frustrating. And I love Taylor and her camp for being this supportive and understanding. She's been doing this for a long time, and she's one of the few people that still gets it. And I love that. And I will for the rest of my life have so much respect and love for that camp, for understanding and still treating them all like the true professionals. It is so true. It is so hard to do artist things in a professional way, to do it for a living. It's a real struggle, and there's so much negative from outsiders who don't understand. And it's so refreshing to see somebody acknowledge it properly.
I want to say we have done something that no one has ever done. We have performed for over 10 million people in person. That's not like, oh, 10 million people watched a TV show, which is pretty, we performed for 10 million plus people. I think about every single one of you. I think about the moment that you decided that dancing was your calling, and the moment that you first saw a band and thought, man, I want to save up for an instrument. Every single one of us has picked professions that categorically people, for the majority of the time, they tell you shouldn't do it. They tell you should not try to do this. You have to love the thing so much that you override 85 to 95% of the advice you are given along the way by oftentimes people that you respect, people you trust, people in the field, everyone in dance, everyone in music. We'll tell everyone younger, if there's anything else you can do, do that. And so I'll see you getting rejected, not getting the job, not getting the part, not getting the solo. Yeah. I'll see all of those things that happened all along the way, the doors that were shut, the doors that were open, the windows you pried open. And then sometimes I'll see you when you're older, and I'll think about what you're gonna tell your family or the people that you mentor, because every single person in here has the spirit to mentor others. And to tell them, yes, do it, try it, go for it, if you have that same love for it. And I think about whether that's to your grandchildren or to the little neighbor kid that just wants to talk to you about what that was like. Everyone likes to talk about phenomenons like the Eras Tour, almost as if it was pieces falling into place in some sort of accidental confluence of events that just happened, right? When I'm thinking about the people that are in this circle, I don't think about it as pieces that fell into place. I think of each of you as like tectonic plates on the earth that took millions of micro decisions and forces of you pushing and pushing inch by inch closer together. And the Eras Tour wasn't when all the pieces fell into place. That was just when every single one of us had done so much work, to where this tour was just when we all clicked together. It's our job to make this look accidental. And it is our job to make this look effortless. But I just want every single one of you to know that I in no way, shape, or form look at this as the pieces just falling into place. You put the pieces where they are. The biggest challenge any of us have ever done. Tonight, we complete that challenge.
I honestly couldn't agree more with Kevin's dad about how powerful Taylor's final show speech was. Because what made the Eras Tour what it became wasn't just her effort alone. It was every choice, every moment, and every person involved along the way. The entire journey led to that finale. And I love that she took the time to recognize that. It deserved to be acknowledged. Every part of it did. And if you haven't heard what he shared about Taylor's